Interlude 3. Leif. Leif ran as fast as his aging legs could carry him, his blade gripped tight in his hand. Igny's uneven streets and his lack of familiarity with the district set his nerves on edge. He seldom missed his military days, but even he had to admit the strict training regimen had kept him strong. Years of self-imposed exile from the Davan Empire had taken their toll, and the short distance from his orphanage to the Ember's lava wall left an unwelcome burn in his side. He weaved and shoved through a morass of townsfolk, their faces stricken with terror. The clang of steel filled the air ahead, and the sky was illuminated by brilliant flashes of white. Whatever, whoever was fighting was putting on one heck of a show. As he rounded the last corner, a ball of white gift fire slammed into the wall to his right, bathing his cheek with heat. Instinct drove him forward, knees tucking into his chest. The roll was clumsy, out of practice, but it carried him from immediate danger and closer to the fray. The fighting was fierce, wild, desperate. A ring of inquisitors, some further along in ascension than others, yet all clad in the Order's jet-black armor, encircled a man and a woman. The sight of their spiked, rugged armor sent cold tendrils down Leif's spine, a reminder of the life he was trying to leave behind. The man in the center knelt, dressed in the same armor, his bloodied hand clutched at his side. The woman stood a few paces away, wreathed in gift. White flame, prismatic and brilliant, coiled around her left arm as if she were its living embodiment. In her other arm, she cradled a small bundle of blue cloth against her chest. The Gyfted. It had been a long time since Leif had seen one of her kind. Not long enough for the pain to be forgotten. Nothing he did would ever erase those memories. But he had made a promise, and he was still a man of honor. Recovering from his fumbled roll, Leif charged at the nearest inquisitor and drove his sword through its back. Age had worn him down to a shell of his younger self, but it hadn't dulled his talent for killing. The other inquisitors reacted too late. Leif was on to the next before he could get his guard up. Though one, likely seasoned with giftling kills, parried just in time. Leif ignored the ache in his muscles and forced the blade down. His foe held firm, but his grunt of exertion quickly morphed into a guttural scream as white flames licked across his body. He died writhing while the Gyfted yanked her gift fire back into her palm and hurled it into the face of another assailant. Her male counterpart drove back the last two inquisitors that approached from his right. His obsidian blade cleaved through the first, but fatigue and injury turned his second swing heavy and inexact. Leif lunged to his side, parrying a killing blow. He twisted free from the sword bind, brought his blade back, and rammed it into the Inquisitor's chest. Black ichor spilled down its chest plate, and it snarled as it raised its blade for a counterblow, only for white gift fire to snake around its limbs, binding and burning at once. Leif yanked his blade free, and the Inquisitor collapsed with a thump, a sickly familiar stench rising from its corpse. Behind him, the injured man dropped to one knee, blood gushing from his side. His eyes were wild, but not with fear. Leif Estes, I'm sorry. We had nowhere else. His words trailed off, and he slumped to the ground, coughing blood and black ichor. In his final moments, his gaze turned to the woman and the bundle of blue cloth she held. Please. Corsius, what have you done? Leif closed the eyes of his former student, a man he'd once been proud to call his protege, and arranged his hands across his chest, one above the other. Rest easy, old friend. May the dread never find you. With a heavy heart, Leif took Corsius's sword and turned to the woman in white. Dark red stains had soiled her gown, giving her a haunting beauty. The scorched, cracked walls of the surrounding buildings hinted at the level of power her gift had given her. Gifted were rare, and rarer still to be seen outside of the citadels. Their fate was sealed the moment their abilities manifested. The bundle in her arms mewled tiny murmurs. With shaking arms, she held it out, her smile wavering as she labored through each breath. Leif dropped the swords and cradled the bundle's weight with care. The blue cloth fell away, revealing tiny hands with tiny fingers that grasped at the air, and a pair of short, stumpy legs that kicked out as the baby yawned. The baby opened its eyes, and even so small and fragile, they held a fierceness that kindled warmth in Leif's heart. The woman stared up at him, her gaze just as fierce. No words were needed. The request was clear, as was his answer. Distant voices barked orders, drawing nearer. Panic filled Leif's throat. He looked down at the mewling bundle of innocence he held in his arms. In this child he saw his redemption, his chance to atone for the deaths he had caused, for all those with the gift he had once put to death. Leif, please. The woman's voice wavered once again as she fought to stay awake. As if my own. Thank you. Her head dropped. The brands on her hands and shoulders dimmed as the last vestiges of her gift slipped away. The veins of white beneath her skin ceased to pulse with power. Their name, Leif asked. What should I call them? With her eyes closed, the gifted smiled and whispered her baby's name.